Yeah, hi Danny. This is Michael. All right, let's take a look at your paper right now. Now it looks like I'm going through the paper, and one of the things you want to look at is your quotes. You're not really connecting your quote back to who is saying the idea. So you have to think about how you want to do that. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. It says, watching the battles that unfolds before him, he realizes the fate of Thondulan, the world as he knows it. Don Villian, an 18-year-old, you want to put a hyphen here. I would say an 18-year-old recruit with hair as black as night and a band covering his eyes that equally matches, stands in disbelief as both ally and enemy fall before him. And you might say something like this. And says. So that way the quote here connects to the previous idea. If you put a period, it doesn't connect anything. Okay, let's go to the next one. The fight continues on, and Villian dodges and parries many attackers. Must I kill to preserve what this world holds so dear to me? What if you did this? What if you put here and just put contemplates, and again, then we know who is saying all this. Will it end the pain that everyone has? My blades move swiftly, my body's light as a feather, but my mind unable to strike. A memory springs forward, and he has a flashback of the time that ended the peace in Thondulan. That fateful day in the meadows of dreams when I pondered those questions that eludes the minds of all. My mother and father were outraged at the accusations I implied. Now, if you're saying that I implied, number one, who is that? And if you do it that way, you would end the quote here. Then you would do this. There has not been an uprising for nearly a century now. I have seen 18 years of life on Thondulan. I'd get rid of the comma here. And have spent many an hour in the meadows of dreams, yet the question gets stronger as the days go by. Why is it so silent? In nature, silence comes before the storm. Is this our silence before our storm? One can only wonder and wait. Again, we don't know who is saying this. Now, if this is all the same person here, you could do this. And then we know that I refers to the quote which comes before it, and then the quote which comes after it. But this is your major problem, I think, with your essay here. It's difficult to figure out who is saying what because you're having difficulties handling your quotations. The question gets stronger. Why is it so silent? In nature, silence comes before the storm. As the questions fade into memories, Don Villian starts to slowly fall asleep. His eyes. What if you did this? Put a comma here and give you a little bit of a smoother. Here, his eyes slowly closing. There, traveling with the wind, a whisper, no, a scream suddenly wakes him. Something's wrong. Those sounds are not normal concerns. Here, put a semicolon to separate the two independent clauses. There are screams of bloody murder. The cries of death penetrate his ears. What if you did this? Get rid of the beginning here, just vary your sentence style a little bit. Screams of bloody murder, the cries of death penetrate his ears. Jumping to a swift battle stance, sword in hand, Don Villian sees nothing before him. again, if you did this, Dunvillian, who sees nothing before him, then put a comma, and then you've introduced the quote here. Am I going mad? Has that question finally gotten the better of me, like my parents have so often told me? The crack of a branch above him causes his instincts to leap out of the way to his relief. It was only a fallen apple. I'd put a comma right there. It hits, no apostrophe here. You just want the verb, the third person singular. It hits the ground and splatters open unlike anything he has seen before. The seeds start to grow, causing him to scurry backwards in fear. An image of light flashes before him, and from that image, the seeds form a body of roots, creating a being from the earth. Eyes wide with intrigued emotions. Very nice sentence there. Dunvillian slowly hides backwards and rises to his feet, allowing the growth time to complete. The roots form a woman unlike any that he has seen before. Now we're having that's your battle right here, is your quote. Let's see if we can figure this out here. You have to say something like this. I mean, you can change it however you want. The newly formed figure. I think you're saying here, Dunvillian excitedly exclaims. Maybe something like that. The roots form a woman unlike any that he has seen before, after which Dunvillian excitedly exclaims, I've read about this in a book but never suspected it to be real. Put the period on the inside of the quote there. She stares at him. And he observes. She stares at him and he observes. She sees through me. I feel it. But how can this be? Isn't she supposed to be a fairy tale? I am not. I think you're using a different speaker here, but I can't. I think if you are, I would definitely change paragraphs if she's talking to Dunvillian, put what she says in a separate paragraph from what he says so we can see the exchange of speakers going on. So let me give you one more example what you could do here. So in this paragraph here, the roots form a woman unlike any that he has seen before, after which Dunvillian excitedly exclaims, I've read about this in a book. And then she stares at him and he observes. She sees through me. I feel it. I would use a semicolon here to separate the two independent clauses. But how can this be? This is a question. Isn't she supposed to be, I'm going to say, a fairy tale? And then she's talking to him. And I would definitely change here. What if you did something like this? I am not, I am here. The woman responds. Because you have been asking the right questions and you're the only one who did not look blindly at the shadows evolving. Let's shorten this down so it's a little bit less complicated. The shadows evolving into a formidable force. You see what we did here? Now in this case, Danny, is what you try to do is you need to have a signal phrase. The signal phrase tells the reader who is saying this idea. Remember that your paper, your fictional story here, has a lot of different voices. You got your main character, you got your other characters, all these people interacting together in this story, and you have to make sure that using your quotations and your punctuation and everything is correct so that we can follow who is saying what. Now this is where I'm going to stop because I'm just out of time. I just did as much as I can do. I can't edit your whole paper. But at least maybe I've gotten you going in the right direction. So I think looking at your paper, the main thing that you want to do in terms of polishing it up is you need to work, you need to do a little bit better at your quotes and how you introduce your quotes. That's probably the biggest thing you can improve on right now with the writing.